G'day, how you going? It's Fipsy, and today I thought I would show you how I use AI coding to generate something like this. This is ASCII art, but what I'm going to do is instead of just making ASCII art from a static image, I'm going to make ASCII art of me. And I'm just going to describe what we've got here. I've got a folder that contains a blank index.html. There's nothing inside this index.html. It's empty. I've got it open, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a simple one-page index.html page. It's a web page that will display a video feed that converts the image that you see of me now into ASCII art. So the first thing that we need to do, this is Codex over here, and the first thing I'm going to do is jump into plan mode. So we were in plan mode, we're jumping into plan mode now. And this is really important because when you're in plan mode, it doesn't actually make changes to files. It is just setting up the plan of what you want to do. So what we want to do is I would like to create a single page HTML file that uses HTML, JavaScript, and CSS to present an ASCII character view of the webcam. I would like to use, actually let's see what this does straight up. And I want to show you something else once we've done this. It's going to ask us some questions. So let's see what happens from here. Okay, what should the ASCII webcam output look like? Monochrome terminal, which is what we were looking at there. It was that white color. Color ASCII we're going to avoid because it's not going to give the effect that we want. I like this green phosphor idea. Retro green on black. Yeah, let's do that. So the next thing, minimal controls. It lets us control the density and I like this minimal controls. Bare view is probably just going to be the ASCII output with no configuration, but I think the configuration would be fun. And tool mode, pause. Yeah, we don't need to go that deep. So let's go minimal controls, radio. And now it is presenting a plan for us to create this single file ASCII webcam page. I'm just reading through it to see what it's going to do. It's going to use style, it's going to use script. Media devices get user media, which lets it access our webcam. And then it's going to render the webcam files from video into an off-screen canvas. And canvas is just a different way. It lets it draw graphics, interact with graphics rather than more the HTML style. Add minimal controls, start, stop camera. Density is selected for output resolution. So when it's got the characters, it might make them smaller or larger, and that can make the ASCII art look less or more effective. Show clear inline status messages for unsupported browser. Cool. Keep the render loop driven by request animation frame. So the way that it does is it grabs the frame from the webcam and then it will render it in the canvas, and then it'll grab another frame, it'll render it in the canvas, and it keeps doing that loop. Convert pixels, luminance, apply contrast. Yeah, we'll see what that looks like. Make the page usable on desktop and mobile browsers. Cool. That just means that it's going to think a little bit about the responsive nature so that the browser will work on a full desktop or it will work on a mobile device. We're only really interested in the desktop today. It's talking about the changes, start, stop streams, and testing. The assumptions target file is the existing empty index.html. This is correct. The app should remain a single standalone HTML file. Yes. We're using green phosphor style. Webcam access may require opening the file in a browser context that supports get user. So that's probably the only thing. Currently, we're accessing the file through directly from the file, and sometimes it requires a secure context, the HTTPS, in which case we'll have to switch to using localhost. Now, I just want to stop there for a moment before we actually implement the plan. The difference between a vibe coder and me doing this is that you just heard me apply my domain knowledge, how I understand the way that websites work under things, so that I go, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. No, that doesn't make sense. And I already know that there's probably going to be a problem when we try to run this, where it will want to run inside a local host rather than file-based, which is what we're doing at the moment. So let's go ahead and let it implement this plan. Okay, So it's starting to give us some work here. I was going to take a look at the file that it's creating. Core page is in place. It's noted some constraints with CSS. So it's going to go back and edit those. But let's see what it's got in the meantime. So if I can tell if it's making sense or not. All the stuff we're looking at the moment is CSS, which just controls the way that things look on the page, whether it's green, whether it's blue, how big it is, what shape it is. It's mainly used in the HTML display rather than making these things look like ASCII art. So we'll just keep going through, keep scrolling down. Okay, so we got to the bottom of the style. We're now in the body, and you can see what it's done is it's set like a container called class app, and it's showing a little bit of instructions. It looks like it will start a camera. It's got some settings for that, and if we keep looking down, we can set the contrast, ramp, standard, detailed, compact. These are options that we can select, and then it's mirror, so me flipped one way or the other way, and then further down it's given itself a video element so that it can access the webcam, and it's got the canvas element where it will actually display the thing that's being done. Okay, I've just noticed over here that's talking about the local server host, so it's actually starting up its own server, which will be very interesting. But we'll come back over to the index.html here. You can see it's setting up a few elements so they can access things and then write to them, the ramps. See this here? These characters here are what it will use to create the ASCII. So depending on the different sizes of things, it will use these characters to present either very little, think black and white, so this would be closer to black, and then through to here, which you can see uses a lot more space inside that little character block. That would be like closer to a white. And then it's got a detailed version where it's using characters that it reckons will use things. Sorry, say that a bit better. It uses the characters that have more colors of grey, basically. And then it's also offered a block where you can see that these blocks are similar shape. That might have a nice effect as well. Going down further, state, set status, support, Windows secure. So this is where it wants to run inside that local host context. And then it's got a few errors. So when we've got errors, what's going on with the error? Start camera. So there's obviously a start button somewhere, and this is where it does the start stuff. Stop the camera, adjust the brightness. So this is where it's working out which character to display at what contrast. Going through, this is where it's actually drawing those characters based on whatever it's getting from the frame. And we've got event listeners, so it's clicking for start camera, stop camera. Looks like something on the contrast, and then page hide. I'm not sure what that one is, but I'm sure we'll find out in a moment. So let's jump across and we'll grab this here. It looks like it's got a server running, and we're going to try and go to it. We just switch over so you can see what I'm looking at. Rightio. So this is the web app that has just been built with all of that stuff that we've been looking through. The camera is inactive. Press start camera when ready. It's going to ask for camera permission. Now, we've got two cameras available. We've got the True Vision camera, which is me here. And so the screencast is using that camera. It can't use that camera, so let's try another camera. We've got this C525 webcam. Hey, that one's me too. Let's just point this at something more interesting. Hello. Okay. Radio. That looks good, so let's allow that one. And there we are. We've got a version of me, and it looks like I can set contrast and then change the density. Ultra. That's very cool. Medium. Okay, let's go with the ultra because that's pretty cool. And we're going to change the ramp. And if you remember, the ramp when we're going through the source code is talking about the different characters that are being used here to generate the ASCII image. So let's change it over to detailed. So I actually don't like detailed because a lot of those characters tend to look the same shade. So let's go to that compact, and that was that block that was using like different dot circle sizes. That's a cool effect. It looks very blocky. It looks very 1980s style computer game. So I think the standard was the winner. It's pretty good. We can play with that a little bit more, but I'm not going to. I just wanted to show you how you can use VS Code using Codex to generate code. So you can see the amount of code that I wrote. Let me switch back to the code screen. The amount of code that I wrote was 0. I literally wrote this prompt at the top. I would like to create a single page HTML file that uses HTML, JavaScript, and CSS to present an ASCII character view of the webcam. I answered some questions and then it went off and did the work. And what we were just looking at was the result. Anyway, I hope that you found that interesting and I will catch you in the next one.